Hey guys, and welcome back to another Tarot Talk this week. So I'm really excited to go over this week because it's going to be on an oil that's like the oil. I've never personally used it because I've never had something that I thought I needed it for. But of course, it has a huge list of things that it can help with, and there's a ton of people I've talked to that swear by it. It's like the oil they use. There's a few people that only use this oil, and that oil is called frankincense. If you know about frankincense, you already know that it's an amazing oil. It has huge benefits to a dozen or so different things. It can help people from young to old. It has a great number of health benefits, and it is I would consider it currently like the king of oils. Like it's the oil to have. If you're going to pick one, pick frankincense, just because it has such a wide variety of uses. Also, it smells pretty good. I like the way it smells. uh, uh, I have, we don't keep it on stock in the office, but I've had one person order it and I got a smell through the bottle and it smelled amazing. We also got a free 5 milliliter bottle of oil from doTERRA on one of the monthly promotions, so that was exciting. We gave it away on Facebook Live to one of our doTERRA members, so they got to have a free thing of frankincense, which is really exciting because frankincense is not one of the cheaper oils. But as it goes, frankincense is also one of the best oils to get. So let's start with the history of frankincense, since I like my history and everyone that watches this channel knows that by now. So an ancient and fabled aromatic tree resin is what frankincense is. It's like sap almost. It's the sap of a tree. It's very similar. It was used as a fragrant perfume, reported from a multitude of historical sources as early as the 1500 BC. Frankincense consists of the dried resin from the frankincense tree, which is like sap, and it is one of the most common and sought after tree resins in the world from back then all the way to today. So its value has not gone anywhere, and it's very old. That means people know that it works. Because when something doesn't work, people don't keep using it, right? So the Egyptians dated it to 1500s. That's the oldest reference I could find for frankincense, and it was prescribed the resin as a use for throat infections and asthmatics attacks, so asthma. And throat problems. In the 1st century AD, so that would be during the Roman reign, there was a documentation from Rome as an antidote to hemlock, which was interesting. The Islamic philosopher Ibn Sina recorded it during the 1037 AD and recommended it for a few things. The most prominent one was fevers. Fevers were a big problem back in the 1000 ADs. He also used it for tumors and ulcers, which I found interesting because back then they didn't know what tumors or ulcers were. It was just something that was wrong with people, and frankincense was something that he put down as something that fixed that. So either they got better or they didn't. And if you don't know what hemlock is technically the plant of a hemlock is poisonous to people. It's a very toxic plant. It's part of the carrot family, so it can grow in fields. It can grow on the sides of roads. It can be picked on accident, especially back in that time. It's native to the European continent, and it looks like it's kind of like, if you know what Queen Anne's lace is, it looks like that. It's a bunch of little tiny white flowers per stem, and it comes up and it's like a little bushel, like this big per bushel, and they're a bunch of little white flowers, and they're pretty, and they smell good, but they're very toxic. And not just to people, wildlife and livestock can also get sick and die from those. and it's a very small amount of that plant that will kill somebody. So you get it on your skin, the oil from it, or get it on your leg, and then you go to wipe your leg off, and then you eat something that can cause you to die from hemlock. So that was a big problem back in the Roman times. They didn't know what hemlock was. Well, they used frankincense as a way to antidote it. Obviously, it didn't work every time. Obviously, you had to catch it in time, and you had to know what you were giving it to them for. So a lot of the time back then, they didn't exactly know why this person was sick. They were just sick. But it was recorded during the 1st century that they used frankincense for hemlock specifically. So I thought that was interesting. So around the 6th century in China, there was a manuscript written for herbals usage, and there was numerous mentions in both Old and New Testaments of the Judeo-Christian Bibles. The Purpose? I don't remember how to say his name. Purpellus. That's what we're gonna say. He was over in the Eutherian Sea during the first century. And if you don't know where the Eutherian, I can't talk this week either. Eutherian Sea is. That's because we don't call it that anymore. At least I don't think we do. I don't think we call it the Eutherian Sea anymore. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I have like 3 maps in my brain. It's inside between Africa's peninsula and it goes up the coast through next to into Persia, the coast of Persia, and back down that coastline. What is the name of that sea today? You might still call it the Ethiopian. Oh, I can't think of it. I'm gonna Google it. Hold on. World map. Hello, world map. This is me. Okay. Indian Ocean. We call it the Indian Ocean. Okay, so it's wow, I'm special. Okay, so from Madagascar to Africa, if you can see that on the map, it's between those two pieces of land. It's gonna go up the coast of Africa over to India. It's gonna hit Iran, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. It's that whole section of water there is where we're at. Sorry, I like to have people know what I'm talking about. But this guy, during the 1st century, sailors traveled that area in shipping areas and did shipping lanes in the Mediterranean, the Arabian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, those places. And it was frankincense was used for several natural products, including different problems that fishermen had. Problem with being on the sea for a long time is people would get sick, right? That was a big problem. A lot of scurvy was a big problem. I didn't find any documentation about frankincense helping with scurvy, but I'm sure they tried it and some people were fine. Scurvy was a big problem back then, especially in that area on water. And not only on water, but if you lived around water, like on the docks, if you were homeless and you lived on the docks, you usually got scurvy sometime. So this area that frankincense was a higher quality of item, so it was very valuable in that entire span of water and all the land next to it. So you got southern Arabia and East Africa. You got most of Madagascar. Those people were very if they wanted the frankincense, they had to definitely pay for it. It was a higher quality item, and it was definitely guarded a lot better than most of the goods. There was a report from Greece by a writer named starts with an H. Herodotus, I believe, during the 5th century. Frankincense trees were guarded by winged serpents, is what he wrote, and that's why frankincense was so hard to get to, is you had to fight these winged serpents of very small size, so they were very tiny winged serpents that, think of an eel, not an electric eel, just an eel with wings in the air attacking you. Like, that's weird, right? So the myth promulgated to ward off rivals. So he made up this theory, and he spread it across Greece and Rome and all the different places as far as he could get it, that in order to get to these trees, you had to fight off these winged serpents of microscopic, like small size. And it wasn't just one or two of these serpents, no, it was like hordes of them. So he started telling people that, and then he would keep all the trees for himself, and he would go out and sell frankincense, and it was worth so much back then because, well, he had to fight off these serpents, and he would only take so much, so it seemed more realistic. And he was a writer, so he had to have somebody else do the storytelling. So he would pay different storytellers to go around and spread the word of these winged serpents and this frankincense. It was crazy, right? Like, if you go up to somebody, you're like, hey, so I can get you this plant, but it's going to cost you $9,000 because I got to go fight a serpent to get to it. I got to fight these serpents. Nowadays, people are going to be like, what? Yeah. Like, you can't do that nowadays, but it's kind of interesting that that's how he kept people from coming around to steal his fortune, basically. Is he just, there's winged serpents on the property, like, look out. Back to frankincense. It was also, frankincense was used to fumigate the area around the sick. They believed it would help purify the air to keep other people from becoming sick. So they were using aromatherapy even before it was called aromatherapy. And it's not that it would keep other people from getting sick. It's what frankincense does to the body when you inhale it or use it. That's what was keeping people from being sick. It wasn't like purifying things. It was building an immune system in other people. And it was, since they were inhaling it all the time, if they caught something that somebody else had, say somebody came in with a fever or cough, they had injuries from war, and they had a tumor. Sucks, right? Well, the doctors and the nurses would work on this patient, and the entire time, the doctors and the nurses, they don't know medicine like we do nowadays. Like, well, you're not going to get sick because the guy's legs fell off, like got cut off, whatever. You're not going to get sick because of that. You're going to get sick from all this other stuff. Well, because they were inhaling the oil all day, every day, for hours on end, they built up a really great immune system. And if they caught something, the frankincense would cause the inflammation to go down right away. It would benefit their breathing. It would get rid of ulcers and tumors. Like, they wouldn't even become a thing. They would just go in. It's kind of like if you have a bacteria in you and you have antibodies to fight the bacteria, and you already have the antibodies, like chicken pox. My two sisters had chicken pox, but I never got them. But I have the antibodies for chicken pox, which means I had them. I just wasn't present, like, I was not I didn't have the dots and the itchy and the weird have to stay home for a week thing. But I have the antibodies for chicken pox. It's the same thing. Frankincense was just giving these nurses and doctors the antibodies, we're going to call them, to fight off the causes that would have made them sick. But they assumed that the oil was causing the air to be purified, which is why nobody ever got sick around them. I have to remember to breathe. There was a famous man. He was a physician and an astronomer, way back when you could be a physician and an astronomer. I can't say the word, astronomer. Yep, nope. And not have to go to school for 20 years. His name was Avicenna. He wrote about the healing powers of frankincense. So that's how the documentation of the purifying of the air came from. Um, the Persians used frankincense for medicinal purposes. They would use it to treat wounds. They would use it to help with skin rashes, dermal problems. Dermal is the layer of your skin, the outermost layer of your skin. So this kind of thing, dermal problems. Inflammation, they used it for arthritis, they used it for stomach pains, which is because it helps with the gastrointestinal issues and not just pain in the stomach. It helps with a lot of different things in your stomach. It can help build the lining in your stomach. It can help clean your gut out, which is very important. If you have a healthy gut, you have a healthy brain. If you have a healthy brain, you have a healthy body. That's how that works, right? Everything works together in a pattern. So frankincense helped with that. It was also believed that frankincense had physical benefits. In the 15th century, a physician from Armenian claimed that it strengthened the mind and benefited memory. It does not give you superpowers. I'm going to say that right now. Nothing is going to give you superpowers if you inhale it enough. I don't care what it is. As I said before, the reason why he claimed this, which I suppose is correct, is it didn't so much as strengthen your mind as it strengthens your gut. It cleaned your body, it cleansed it, it kept it healthy as it should be. So that made your brain work the way it's supposed to. Which, if your brain is working the way it's supposed to, your memory should be fairly good, right? Well, back then, Alzheimer's was not the word for Alzheimer's. They didn't call it that. People forgot stuff all the time. And most people didn't live to be 60 or let alone 100, so Alzheimer's was very rare. But people would forget stuff. So over in Armenia, they believed that frankincense, if you used frankincense on a daily basis, which meant that you had a lot of money, because it was still very expensive back then. If you used it every day, you would have a good mind, and it would help with your memory. You would never have memory problems. Sure. The resin was used for various things in various countries, which is a repeating pattern for a lot of older oils. They seem to have gone around the world multiple times. Many different people from many different countries use it for different reasons and get the same results. That's how you know something works. And it was back before cell phones, before emails, before the written letter. So they weren't like, oh, well, Joe Bob's 700 miles from me emailed me yesterday and told me this works. I should give it a try. And they tried it for the same, both of you tried it for the same problem, and it worked for the same thing. It was more like, you use it for, let's say you have, let's give you arthritis. You use it for arthritis in your wrist. Well, you've used it for 3 weeks, and you no longer have the pain and the stiffness and the soreness that comes with arthritis, and you're actually able to curl your fingers again. That's fantastic. Well, over in Northern Africa, the older lady gets a thing of frankincense. Also has arthritis in her knees. And she starts using frankincense on her knees with that. And well, in a few weeks, she no longer has knee problems as much. It's not sore. She can walk around just fine now. She doesn't have to sit down every 15 minutes. Well, then, and neither one of you don't know this lady. She doesn't know you. You've never talked to each other. You've never seen each other. You don't even speak the same language. Well, it worked for arthritis for 2 different people in 2 different places for the same reason. That's how we know that that's what it's good for. That's how I know that frankincense is like the oil for almost anything, is because there's so many people that have documented, well, I have this problem and it helped with this. Well, so did 952 other people who have never read your stuff. Like, that's how I know it works. I don't have to use it personally because I have no real need for it at the moment. Now, can I get ulcers? Yes. And if I do, I will start using frankincense. Could I get arthritis? Definitely, because my grandma has arthritis everywhere, and she uses deep blue and frankincense, so which has helped her immensely. She really likes the deep blue stick. It's like her best friend right now. So that's how you know that one thing is working for the same thing, and it's not just a fluke or word of mouth, and everybody just keeps spreading rumors around about it. So today, most people use it as the smell. They use it because of the smell. Excuse me. But there was an old tradition that you would take the resin, not the oil, but the resin, and which are like little crystallized things. They kind of look like pieces. If you get honey from a honeycomb, it's kind of like a chunk of honeycomb, almost. Or amber. It looks like amber. It's just real crystallized and not real smooth and pretty and stuff. But they would take some of these and they would put it in a pan and they would light it. That would cause the smell, right? They would do this during weddings. They would do it during childbirth and during funerals. Excuse me. So the incense, which is how they did it back then, was used to smooth and calm people down during exciting times, so people are calm down. It's okay, don't scream. Or it would help make them feel less depressed during funerals. Today's time, you can use it for your hair. It's a big one for making your hair and making your breath smell good, which I think is fun. It's interesting. You use it to, don't use toothpaste. Nope, just use frankincense. It can be used for eye makeup for some weird reason. It can also be put into tattoo dye and ink, which I thought was weird. I've never heard of tattoo ink having oils in it, but that would make sense. I've never looked into tattoo ink and how it's made, but you know, learn something new every day, I suppose. The most pragmatical melted incense resin was used to mend cracked pots and jars. So they would fill the cracks with frankincense, and then they would make a vessel watertight again. So that's not really something we would use now, but because you can't use it if it's in oil, you can't mend the cracks. Only if you have the raw frankincense, and you would put it on the crack and you would melt it into. Yep, I thought that was cool. They would use frankincense. The tree bark was used to dye cotton and leather. It was a reddish-brown dye, so that's how they would make some use of the tree once it was no longer used to be harvested for the oil. And some of the resin, so there's different species of frankincense trees. Some of them are edible and have a good taste. I don't know if the other ones are edible. I know there's some are edible, so if you get a bottle of frankincense, make sure you read the bottle and make sure it says ingestible or internally use. Because if you get one that's internal use frankincense, you put a drop in your coffee every morning. Coffee's not the best for you, but that would help with any gut problems or anything. Frankincense's major helpful benefits are arthritis. They help with depression, inflammation. It helps with Alzheimer's. It helps with breathing, airways, your lungs. It'll help with those. It will help with ulcers. There's no proof that it will help with tumors like they used to do in the 900, 1000 ADs. But, I mean, if you really want to test that theory out, let me know. Only thing I'm using is frankincense to cure my tumors. Sure. It helps with wrinkles on the skin, and it helps with coughs, and oddly enough, it helps to regenerate the tissue inside a uterus, and that is after giving birth or miscarriage. Apologies. So it can help your uterus will heal. Sorry if you're a guy. Your uterus heals on its own, but using frankincense will help speed it up. It will also help. So your uterus wall is very thin because it has to be able to stretch, right? So it can help thicken it a little bit, which will help keep you getting tears or injuries in there. Yeah. Of course, if you are currently pregnant, make sure you talk to your OBGYN before you start taking a new oil. If you're already taking oils, just be like, hey, I want to take this oil, and take a list of everything that it can do and everything that it is harmful for, because there are some oils that are harmful to women who are pregnant, which I want to do a video. If you're interested, I want to do a hot Terra Talk one of these weeks on all the oils that will help with pregnancy, because I think that's really important. People who use oils all the time and then they become pregnant and can't have them anymore. So I'm going to do one of those. But anyway, back to frankincense. What else was there? I think that's all the history I know for frankincense. I think so. Of course, if you want to know anything else, I'm happy to look into it for you. I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one, in person, over the phone, on a Zoom call, whatever makes you happy. Also, I got a new office. If you see the background, it's different now. A different office now. So there's that. Yay. Yeah, I think that's it. So I will catch you guys next week. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I like to look into all kinds of stuff for you guys if you haven't watched any of the other videos, and this is the first one. I just want you to know that you can hit comments down below. You can ask me random questions. You can put in corrective facts. If you're like, oh, you said this at this time and it's wrong, please let me know. I do like to know when I'm wrong. It makes me right the next time. You can't be right all the time, but I try my best to be right for you guys. And this is one person who can't know everything. I'm just saying that. I look into the history of this stuff before I do these videos. It's not like I just know this stuff off the top of my head. But unfortunately for my brain, once I know something, it kind of stays there for a while. Like, I will forever know that frankincense was a Chinese herbal medicine in the 6th century, and I will forever know that there was a story that a guy made up in Greece that frankincense trees were protected by winged serpents, because that's a weird fact to know. Why not know that? Why would you not want to know that? You know, trivia night could need that. So if you find anything I say is unfactual, please correct me. And make sure you guys check out the TikTok, check out the Facebook. That one's getting updated way more than anything else. The TikTok gets some fun videos. I'm doing a 90-day challenge for a few more weeks. I'm on day, like, is it 54? I'm almost there. And that challenge you can do through our office as well, which is really fun. It resets your entire system, so you can start over and you can have the healthiest body that you want. Yeah, I think that's it. We're going to go with that's it. And I will catch you guys next week.